Hey guys, Michael from Copper vs Glass, and following on from our review of the DOOGEE V10 around 7 months ago, today we are looking at the S61 Pro. And with 6 gigs of RAM, 128 gigabytes of expandable storage, transparent and interchangeable back, and a 20 megapixel night vision camera, is this the new king of rugged smartphones? Well, let's take a look. Now, as always, a bit of housekeeping before we get into the video. The S21 Pro comes in 2 different finishes. You've got a nice wood grain effect and this nice transparent model that I have here, which is personally my favourite out of the 2. Now it's going to be coming in at around $259, but can sometimes be found for as low as $209. It's available now and of course is linked down below. And a massive thank you to DOOGEE for sending out the S61 Pro for this review. Now, normally I don't really spend too much time on the unboxing side of things with a new smartphone, but you just get so much stuff with the S61 Pro that I just had to show you. However, you can skip to this timecode up here if you want to get straight into the review of the device. So in the package you get the paperwork, screen protector accessories, a second screen protector as there is one installed on the S61 Pro right out of the box. You then have a not so fast 10-watt charger along with a USB-A to USB-C plus a lanyard. Now I'm not sure if this is retail, but I also got a second package with tons of interchangeable backs for the S61 Pro. You have plain black, carbon fibre, wood effect plus the transparent one that it comes with. Now you also have everything that you need to change and apply the new backings as well. So when you take into account even just the accessories that you get with the S61 Pro and the device itself, and consider that sometimes it's not that much more than $200, this is great value for money, especially for a rugged smartphone. So now the unboxing's out of the way and we've got the S61 Pro in hand, what about that design? Now the S61 Pro isn't going to win any awards for the slimmest, most feature-packed smartphone. However, if you're looking for a really rugged phone with a nice design that's a little bit unique, then maybe the S61 Pro is for you. The right hand side of the device has the volume up and down buttons, power button with built-in fingerprint reader, which is a nice place and actually works really good. It's fast and just in the right place for either right or left-handed use. On the left side you have the slot for the SD card to expand the storage and dual SIM card slots. So in this one tray you've got 3 different card options, 2 SIM cards and 1 micro SD card, so tons of expandability and also tons of options with regards to different SIM cards depending on the area where you are. The bottom has the speaker port, mic and USB-C connector, and then at the top you have the 3.5mm headphone jack. And all of these ports and slots are also protected fully with big rubber doors, so again in terms of the IP rating of this device for dust and water resistance, everything's going to have these really thick rubber doors in it that are basically part of the outer housing of the device, making sure that everything stays very secure and nothing's getting in there. The back of the device then has that cool transparent design where you can see the NFC area, some mock-up internals and the double camera, which of course we will get onto. And like I mentioned during the unboxing, these back panels can be interchanged with pretty much any design that you can think of, whether it's transparent, wood effect or just a plain black or carbon fibre look. Now the S61 Pro is also MIL STD 810H, IP68 and IP69K, water, dust, and pretty much everything resistant. This is one rugged device. So the S61 Pro isn't going to be as flashy as the new Nothing phone or as premium as something from Apple. However, compared to pretty much any other rugged phone that I've tested, and of course I'll have some other videos linked down below, this is probably the best looking and best feeling rugged phone that I've ever tried. And of course around front you then have the screen. Now while there are some thick bezels, it's still a pretty nice screen, especially with regards to brightness. You have a 60Hz panel at 720 by 1440 pixels, giving a PPI of 268 pixels per inch. Now it is an IPS TFT display, so don't be expecting amazing viewing angles, amazing colours and those deep blacks that you may find with some other premium options. But for a rugged phone, it's not too bad. It's perfectly fine for everyday tasks and it gets nice and bright, which again for a phone mainly made for outdoor use is pretty darn good. And like I mentioned with those bezels, the screen to body ratio could definitely be a little bit better. We're getting around 68% here, but I guess then it would affect the ruggedness of the S61 Pro if there was to be a higher number. If it was around sort of 80%, you wouldn't really have much around the outside to actually protect the phone overall, so for a rugged phone, not really too much of a problem. So next up we have the specs. We have the MediaTek Helio G35 Ultra gaming processor, and of course we will be testing out that gaming performance. You've got 6GB of LPDDR4X RAM, 128GB of storage which is upgradable to 512GB with that expandable card slot. But less about the specs on paper, how does the S61 Pro perform day to day? Well, like most things in this review, it is good for a rugged smartphone. It can do all the day-to-day tasks that you need like social media, emails, calls and messaging, so using those sorts of apps is no issue at all. Now, although the MediaTek Helio G35 is an AI-powered gaming chip, it's not great for intense tasks, even such as light gaming. Now, something like Call of Duty Mobile works fine, but then again is very well optimized and works on pretty much any device that you can think of, even the more lower end options. However, something like Genshin Impact won't really be playable or fun on the S61 Pro due to the frame rate and the overall sluggish performance. So if you limit your expectations, it can do what you need it to with regards to those everyday tasks. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily think that someone's going to buy a rugged smartphone for the best gaming option available, but it would have been nice to have a little bit more performance in there so that if you did want to play games, you didn't necessarily have to, pick and choose between the lower end games and not really worry about those high end games, but then again, that would have just pushed up the price. Now, of course, the biggest downside to pretty much any rugged smartphone that I've tried is going to be the camera, and I was actually surprised to see that the DOOGEE S61 Pro has a 2-camera setup around back. Now, is it going to be your standard wide, ultra wide, or wide, telephoto, or 3-camera setup, or even one of those useless macro cameras? Well, no, it's going to be one standard wide camera and then a night vision camera. Now, the standard wide lens comes in at 48 megapixels and the night vision camera is a 20 megapixel Sony IMX350. Now, the video side of things is capped at 1080p at 30 frames a second, and you do have some options for some VGA and 720 options as well. No 4K unfortunately, and no high frame rate option. Now, the camera app is well laid out and also has tons of features and different options, but is it actually any good? Well, I've been out with this phone shooting tons of photos and videos, so let me know in the comments what you guys think. So hopefully from those examples and the video examples, you can see that it's pretty much standard when it comes to a rugged smartphone, with the pictures and videos just not being very good. The colors themselves aren't great, the HDR really isn't there, and the camera quality in terms of, no image stabilization, low frame rate, and also low resolution just means that it's not necessarily a viable option when it comes to overall day-to-day picture taking or videos. However, one thing that I was actually kind of impressed with is going to be that 20 megapixel night vision camera. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily know when this would actually be useful. A rugged smartphone for me is mainly used in the daytime, maybe on a construction site for example, not necessarily in pitch black environments. However, if you do use this phone maybe for a weekend away or a camping trip, then this may actually come in handy and it actually has some good results to it. So with the not so great specs, the low resolution on the screen, the fact that you're not going to be using it for AAA games or using it for a ton of photo and video, what's the battery life like? Well, with a 5180 mAh battery, I don't necessarily think how you use this phone or the specs matter too much for the overall battery life. This thing can go for days, even if you do use it day to day and you use it for those kind of general tasks. This is definitely a 2 or even 3 day device if you can push it that far. And with regards to battery, there's not really much more to say about it. It's got great battery life overall. So in closing, can I recommend the DOOGEE S61 Pro? Well, if you're the kind of person that works outdoors pretty much all day, every day, or you do like weekends away, camping, and just in general getting outdoors, then I would actually say yes. Or even if you've got a $1,000 smartphone from maybe Apple or Samsung that you use on the regular, but want this for maybe a weekend sort of thing, then again, it's a pretty good option for a pretty low cost overall. If you want to use it for a hike, the battery life is definitely going to be there, or just in general, if you want to use it out and about and get some cool nighttime pictures with the night vision camera, then it's a pretty good option in general. However, for a rugged phone, I would say that this is probably the best option available. In regards to the build quality, the customization of the back, the software being pretty much stock Android and it does those day-to-day tasks like I mentioned pretty well, it's actually a really good device if you do want to use it day-to-day for those more rugged situations. Seriously, this thing is so rugged. But as always guys, let me know in the comments section down below what you think of the S61 Pro. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up down below. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, now is a great time to do so. We've got a ton more content coming at the end of August. So again, once you've hit that subscribe button, don't forget to turn on notifications so you're notified anytime I post a video here on the channel. I'm Michael from Copper vs Glass. Thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.